Hello YouTube, this is Sam from Tiger Schooling, and today we are going to talk about the aorta and its branches. Alright, the aorta, which is the largest artery in the body, which begins at the top of the left ventricle. The heart has two ventricles, the right ventricle and the left ventricle, but the aorta begins at the left ventricle. It's actually a tube about foot long and an inch in diameter. We actually divide the aorta into four parts. The aorta into four parts. That's the ascending aorta, the arc of aorta, the descending aorta. And the descending aorta is further divided into two parts. That is the thoracic aorta and the abdominal aorta. And let's begin our discussion with the ascending aorta. The ascending aorta is about 5 centimeters, which actually begins at the base of left ventricle, and it lies within the fibrous pericardium. Remember, always do remember that. It's an important point to understand that it actually, the ascending aorta lies within the fibrous pericardium and further divides. The ascending aorta has got only two branches, nothing in detail, got two branches, that right coronary artery and the left coronary artery. The right and left coronary artery actually supplies the blood to the heart, or you can say the muscle of the heart. And as we have talked about where the aorta begins, I must add that it also begins on a level with the lower border of the third costal cartilage behind left half of sternum. That's all about the ascending aorta, which got two branches, and the right and left coronary artery. The arc of aorta, which is really important, it actually got three main branches. Three main branches. We are further going to discuss about the arc of aorta. So arc of aorta, also called as transverse aorta, which is an umbrella shaped which is actually over the superior aspect of heart, and it starts off through the ascending aorta, and which ends at the left subclavian artery. Left subclavian artery, the arc of aorta ends, and it has three main branches which actually supply the upper limbs and the head. The first main branch is brachiocephalic trunk, or we can also say that brachiocephalic artery. And the second branch, the first branch is brachiocephalic trunk. The second branch is left common carotid artery, and the third one is left subclavian artery. So let's start with the let's start with the brachiocephalic trunk. The brachiocephalic trunk also divides into two other branches, that is right subclavian artery, which actually supplies the upper limb. Upper limb is supplied by the right subclavian artery, which is the branch of the brachiocephalic trunk, and also divides into right common carotid artery, which is the branch of brachiocephalic artery. So right portions are the branch of the brachiocephalic artery, the right common carotid artery, and it supplies the head and neck. In same consideration, we have got two other branches which are not the part of brachiocephalic trunk, but actually the branches of the arc of aorta are the arc of aorta, the left common carotid artery, and the left subclavian artery. The left common carotid artery supplies head and neck, similar to the right common carotid artery, but it supplies to the left side of that area, and the left subclavian artery supplies to the left upper limb of left upper limb of the body. So this is all about the arc of aorta. Now we are going to talk about the descending aorta. The descending aorta, which play an important role, and it is actually further divided. The descending aorta is further when it goes downward. The first portion of it, we call it the thoracic aorta. The second portion, when it crosses the abdomen, or we can say when it crosses the diaphragm. When it crosses the diaphragm, it changes its name to, when it passes the aortic hiatus, it changes into its name into abdominal aorta. So let's just talk about the descending aorta, or be specific about it. We call it descending thoracic aorta. We are going to talk about descending thoracic aorta because it is starting after the arc of aorta. So it begins at the lower border of the fourth thoracic vertebra. The descending thoracic aorta begins at the lower border of the fourth thoracic vertebra and ends at the lower border of the 12 thoracic vertebra, and it passes the diaphragm behind at the abdominal aorta. So the abdominal aorta, when the thoracic aorta is converted into the abdominal aorta at the aortic hiatus, it divides into the abdominal aorta, then further in its terminal branches divides into the right and left common iliac artery at the point of the navel. At the navel point, it further divides into right and common iliac artery, and further it moves downward and supplies the pelvis and the lower limb. That's the end story, and let's just move further and talk about the branches of the descending aorta, or be specific about it. Let's first discuss about the descending thoracic aorta. So this is another easy made thing here we can understand about the branches of the thoracic aorta. So we have got 6 branches of the thoracic aorta, which is bronchial artery, pericardial artery, superior phrenic artery, esophageal artery, posterior costal artery, subcostal artery. So we can remember the name of it. So let's talk about which part of the body or which organ or which structure do these artery, the branches of the thoracic artery do supply. So the bronchial artery, the name suggests that it supplies the lungs. And what about the pericardial artery? You guessed it right. It supplies the dorsal portion of pericardium. You must say dorsal portion of pericardium. And what about the superior phrenic artery? It actually supplies diaphragm and adrenal glands. So superior phrenic artery is going to supply the diaphragm and adrenal gland. What about the esophageal artery? Simple. It's esophagus. All right, here we go with the esophagus. And what about the posterior intercostal artery? It is going to supply the intercostal space. Yeah, it's going to supply the intercostal space. And what about subcostal artery? It is going to supply the flat abdominal wall muscles. Abdominal wall muscles. USCELS. All right, so it's very easy to remember. The thoracic aorta, or we can say descending thoracic aorta, has 6 branches. That bronchial artery, which supplies lungs. We have got pericardial artery, which supplies the dorsal portion of the pericardium, and we got superior phrenic artery, which supplies the diaphragm and adrenal glands, esophageal artery, esophagus, posterior intercostal artery, intercostal space, and subcostal artery, which supplies flat abdominal wall muscles. That's all about the thoracic aorta. Now let's talk about the abdominal aorta, which is the descending artery. It's the descending aorta, but after when the thoracic aorta it crosses the diaphragm through the aortic hiatus, it changes its name. It actually changes its name from thoracic aorta to abdominal aorta after passing the aortic hiatus. With the short term, and it have got 3 branches. We are not going that much detail in this topic, but here we are going to discuss about only going to name these branches, because the abdominal aorta gives the 3 main types of branches, that is visceral branches, parietal branches, and terminal branches. The visceral branches are celiac, number 1, number 2 is superior mesenteric, number 3 is inferior mesenteric, number 4, middle suprarenals, number 5, renals, number 6 is gonadals. All right. 6 branches of the visceral branches of the abdominal aorta, and 3 branches of parietal branches of the abdominal aorta are inferior pharynx, lumbars, median sacral. And the terminal branches, we have already talked about it. When the abdominal aorta reached to the point of at the point navel point, it divides into common. It divides the into it changes its name into common iliacs, which actually divides into common iliacs, and which further divides into right and left common iliac artery. So that's all about the branches of the aorta. We haven't discussed it in that much detail, but we have understood it superficially, the main branches. In our special video, which we upload soon, we will be discussing about all the arteries of the human body from the aorta to the tip of our toes. So in our next special video about the arteries, we are going to discuss about them. So thanks for watching, and keep visiting Thai Schooling. And if you have any question, please do not forget to comment us and tell us. We will be helping you.